Help has arrived for the Oklahoma City Thunder in the form of Nenad Kristic, a 7-footer from Serbia. But what difference will he make? I'm Mike Sherman, and this is One-on-One with Thunder Madness. I'm here with beat writers Darnell Mayberry and Mike Baldwin. First question, guys. What made this acquisition happen? What's the biggest factor that brought Nenad Kristic from some league in Russia and Europe we never heard of to the Ford Center, possibly as soon as Wednesday night? You go first, Darnell.
I think Sam Presti got sick of seeing his front court underachieve. You had Chris Wilcox, Nick Collison, these Robert Swift, Johan Petro. All of these guys have not performed well this season or up to their standards. Joe Smith has probably been their most consistent big on the interior. But Kristic is a guy who can score. He's a guy who was a borderline all-star a few seasons back in New Jersey before tearing his ACL. He feels like he can come in and give him some offensive punch and really take some of the load off of Kevin Durant, Jeff Green, and Russell Westbrook.
What do you think, Mike?
The one thing I don't want to be lost in the shuffle is all the New Jersey writers that cover the Nets and we've been communicating with the last day or two. They keep saying he's a great guy, which has always been one of Sam's qualities. Remember, we don't want just guys that are talented. We want guys that are good in the community, guys that are good teammates and all that. It sounds like he's one of those fun guys that will get along in the locker room and shouldn't cause problems there. But remember, there's a loophole here. He has a contract in Moscow. That team stinks. That team can't meet its payroll. As a result, Sam says, oh, really? We got an opening over here in the United States because if they are winning, if they are meeting their payroll, this guy's not available. He left the Nets to go play over there. So I think that's one of the big things in this whole plot of getting him here was Sam was smart enough to realize that there's a guy over there that may be wanting to come back to the States and, oh, by the way, we got a roster spot if you're interested.
Hey, this global economic crisis plays a factor in this too. And it's interesting, you know, Oklahoma City was ranked as one of the most inflation-proof cities in America, a place where the economy slowdown wouldn't hurt as much, but it has hurt. It is hurting. Evidently not as bad as it is over in Russia where they're having trouble paying the players. It seems to me also that the moves that Presti has made to get them under the salary cap, maximum flexibility, they were thought to be things that would benefit the Thunder down the road. Didn't that play a part today in getting Kristic?
You know, I think the fact that they still have this cap room, despite the signing, is the biggest thing about this move. I mean, he's only going to get paid the equivalent of the mid-level exception, which is only about, $5.5 million, and that'll be in the final year of his deal. So you're going to still see this team have flexibility, and I think without maintaining that flexibility, Presti wouldn't have pulled the trigger.
What about his injuries, though? I mean, an ACL injury that he blew out in the 06-07 season, December 22nd of 06. This is when he looked like he was going to become an all-star. He comes back in 07-08, not the same player. In fact, his blog on NBA.com almost is very apologetic about how badly he played, very uncertain. If you read it, it sounds like the guy is sort of lost confidence. What do we know about that, and has he gained it?
Well, I think he lost a little bit last year, but all reports were this summer he was better, and that's why he was excited to go over there. He realized he didn't quite fit the Nets' plans. They go for Brook Lopez, all these other factors that he wanted to just test his knee. The reports are the knee's back to close to 100% again. It's been about a year and a half removed, which that's usually about the time it takes to get back to where you were. We'll find out the first 2 or 3 weeks. Reports early out of Moscow was he was looking pretty much like his old self. But, yeah, that is an issue until he proves it over an extended time that he can do the things he was doing 2 years ago.
Guys, where does this rank among Sam Presti's best moves? I mean, he's traded Ray Allen and turned it into Jeff Green. A guy, Ray Allen, who was nearing the end of his career and really needed to be in a competitive situation. He let Rashard Lewis go. He turned Kurt Thomas into draft picks. Where does this rank, Darnell?
I think you put it right behind the Ray Allen and Rashard Lewis deals because, those two were all-star caliber players. I mean, they're top-flight players at their position, and it really started the whole rebuilding of this roster. So I think when you look at where they are now, they're rebuilding. So I think you look at the fact that Kristic is going to be a part that they're going to rebuild. He's going to be a piece that they use to rebuild for now and in the future. So I think you have to look at it right there behind Ray Allen and Rashard.
First of all, I'm not endorsing all these Ray Allens and Lewis as great moves. I mean, he's building for the future. He says in 3 years we're going to be better. We're building a long-term thing. It may work out that way. Right now, if you have Allen and Lewis here, they're a borderline 8-9 seed team, and the fans would not be leaving every night.
The key word you said is borderline, and they're still borderline, and their payroll is just shot. I mean, they have no chance of competing in the future if they keep those two guys. So that's what fans don't understand. If they kept Rashard Lewis and Ray Allen, they would have been so shot financially that they wouldn't have had a chance to compete. So you don't want to do that and still be an 8-9 seed in the West. And it's a tough conference, as you know. I mean, so you don't keep those guys just to barely compete.
I understand that Sam Presti's plan. I probably endorse that plan. But for everybody to just completely say, oh, that was the right thing to do when this team is 3-29, what if Christie's the final piece? What if Westbrook or somebody else is the guy that you somehow manipulated and got with the 12 pick instead of the 4 pick, and all this started coming together? You may be like the Nuggets. Nobody predicted they'd be a 3 or 4 seed this year. I'm not saying it's a slam dunk. I understand what he's trying to do. I think it's the wisest way to go, but just say, oh, those were great moves. When you're 3-29 and those guys are helping the Celtics win a title and helping Orlando and some of these other teams compete for a title, you cannot just say that was a good move.
But here's the thing, Mike. The reason you can say it is because Ray Allen is not the main piece. He's the third wheel on that team, that Boston Celtics team. Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett are the
right now. I'd argue Ray Allen's playing better than either one.
Rashard Lewis is not the main guy on that Orlando Magic team. It's Dwight Howard and Hedo Turkoglu. Those two were the main guys in Seattle. Those two are not main player type guys. They needed some help. Kevin Durant is the future of this franchise. They didn't need those two guys weighing this franchise down.
Same positions too, by the way. I mean, basically, Rashard Lewis and Ray Allen are really playing some of the same positions that Kevin Durant plays. So that'd be interesting.
I'm saying I agree probably with the plan, but when we just say these are great moves and it's going to work out 3 years from now, how's it working out so far? Not so hot. This Christie move is a good move. I'd rank it right up there with the Green and Allen trade right now, because the more I see Green, I like Green. I really do.
Let me ask you this, getting back to this, one more thought about this Rashard Lewis and Ray Allen trade. Is there even a Nene Christic if both of those are still with the team? I don't think there is. They got no flexibility.
They wouldn't have been able to afford it. No.
They were capped out, and they were also going to be capped out through the 2010, especially with Rashard Lewis. They would have had to re-up him, and that would have been their play, sitting on the sidelines for 2010. Guys, what's the biggest difference, though, that Christic's going to make for this team immediately?
I think he spreads the floor a little bit on an offensive team. Like we're talking on our other around the NBA thing, the one thing I really like about him is with Durant often getting double-teamed, Green sometimes getting double-teamed, Westbrook finding a clogged lane sometimes, to be able to come out 15 feet, be good on the pick and rolls, really expand the game. I really think he's going to make a improving offense that much better. I think they're going to be a fun offense to watch the rest of the year. I don't think it helps the defense a whole lot. He's not a shot blocker. He'll get his share of rebounds, but you should when you're 7 foot tall, get your 6 or 7 a game. But I really think that he's going to make a pretty decent offense even that much better. At least they're going to be fun to watch no matter how many games they win.
Like Mike said, you can't clog the lane against, with the post players they have now, opponents are just packing it in. I mean, Russell Westbrook really, when he gets to the lane, he's meeting all kind of resistance. You saw that against Dwight Howard. You saw it Monday night against Shaquille O'Neal. Kevin Durant really can't get to the rim because of it. So Nene Christic is going to be able to bring guys out, those post players out, and free up some space. I think he gives them another consistent scorer that you can rely on if he's healthy. This is all assuming he's healthy and ready to return to that 2006-2007 form.
Who's most likely to be traded now? You have a surplus of big men. If you had to pick, who's the next guy likely leaving Oklahoma City? Darnell, you first.
I think you have to look at one of the post players. I mean, they have a lot. Johan Petro, Mo Sene, Robert Swift, Chris Wilcox, Nick Collison, and Joe Smith. I lost count. Was that 6, 7? So, I think when you look at those guys, again, Joe Smith, I think, has been the most consistent. So you want to hang on to him. I think he has more value toward the end of the trading deadline. When you look at championship caliber teams who are looking to add a veteran who can still play and doesn't have a overbearing contract, I think you have to go with Chris Wilcox. I mean, Chris Wilcox is a guy who's been tremendously inconsistent this year. So I think the fact that his inconsistency has been his biggest downfall, and I think he's going to want to command more money than probably he's worth in free agency next summer. I think they have to deal him.
Does his value affected, though, by what they put around him? In other words, if you put him on a team that's got more complete package, does he get more consistent? Definitely. And is that the pitch that Sam Presti and those folks put out there as if he's on the trading block?
And I think that's what you're hearing around the league. I mean, Mike can speak to this a little bit more. He deals with more around the league issues, but a lot of scouts, coaches say that Chris Wilcox is a better player, sort of like what we're hearing on Jeff Green. He's a better player when he's alongside better teams and when he has better teammates. So, the fact that Chris Wilcox is on a 3-29 team, I don't think we're seeing the best Chris Wilcox has to offer.
And he's been a little nicked up. He had the knee injury for a while. He's had the finger issue for a while. He's the ideal number 7 or 8 guy, first big guy off the bench for a playoff team. Joe Smith's more likely to go. Whether it's 1 week or trading deadline, I don't know, but there are already rumors. Orlando, Miami, Toronto, just make the list of teams, Cleveland, that are interested in getting Joe Smith. So he's the number 1. Earl Watson's name's out there a lot just because of the role he's had his whole career. We don't expect him to come in to be a savior, but we need him for 12, 15, 18 minutes off the bench as our backup point guard, a veteran who doesn't make a lot of mistakes, doesn't make a lot of all-star plays, but he's had a couple 11-assist games this year. He has his faults. He's been a career backup for a reason. But as people around the league are saying, this team, despite its record, has some veterans that will be the 7, 8, 9 guy for teams in rotations trying to make the playoffs. How much Sam can get for those guys is what I'm curious. Is it a quality young player that may grow? Is it a draft pick? Because none of these guys are superstars that puts anybody over the hump, but they're all valuable pieces to playoff teams. I'm curious to see, because they're all tradable. It's just what can he get for them. Maybe Darnell's right that if you push Joe Smith out 6, 8 weeks and let everybody bid, you get more for him. Who knows? You may get a lot of bid for him early. We've seen that before in baseball and the NFL, that everybody says, I want to get him before somebody else, and the bidding starts earlier, here in early January. We don't know, but Joe Smith is the one that's going to be bid on the most.
Interesting. We thought Joe Smith might be the P.J. Brown of this team. Maybe becomes a P.J. Brown of the Boston Celtics. Guys, that's all for One-on-One with Thunder Madness. Stay with the best coverage team anywhere, every day on NewsOK.com and every morning in the Oklahoma.